Welcome to the Robertson County High School Football Show with your hosts, Robertson County Connection sports reporter David Wilson and Main Street Clarksville sports editor Brady McAtamney. The Robertson County High School Football Show is brought to you by Springfield Carpet One. Whether you are in need of new hardwood, luxury vinyl, tile, carpet, or laminate, Springfield Carpet One has everything you need for your next flooring project. Thomas Drugs. Since the early 1900s, Thomas Drugs has served the Robertson community for all of their prescription needs. Stop by and see their friendly staff and grab you a sundae at their ice cream parlor today. Old Hickory Credit Union. Whether you need to open a checking account or interested in taking out a loan or mortgage, Old Hickory Credit Union can help you every step of the way. Countryside Outdoor Power Equipment. Countryside Outdoor Power Equipment is your one-stop shop for all of your outdoor needs. Select Physical Therapy in Springfield. Select Physical Therapy provides inpatient and outpatient rehabilitation services in Robertson County. And the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Remember, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Now, here are David Wilson and Brady McAtamney.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome into the Robertson County Football Show. My name is David Wilson, sports reporter for the Robertson County Connection, joined as I am always by Main Street Clarksville sports editor Brady McAtamney. Brady, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I know you're kind of feeling a little conflicted this week because, of course, the Braves took an unfortunate loss to the Phillies. However, Notre Dame kind of beat the snout out of USC this week, so that gives you something to feel good about.
Yeah, but it just makes me even more mad that the fact that they lost to Louisville 2 weeks ago and just ruined their college football playoff hopes. I knew coming into the year that they could beat USC. The real question was, were they going to beat Clemson on the road, or were they going to beat Ohio State at home? Well, obviously they didn't beat Ohio State, even though they should have. So we'll see what Clemson is like in a few weeks. But yeah, the Braves, they did the Braves what they do all the time. They break my heart. So I do have my World Series in 21, but other than that, the playoff runs for the Braves have not been pretty.
Not been great. But speaking of playoff runs, a lot of schools in the area getting ready to make one of their own. So what do you say we dive into them?
Yeah, I want to give you credit. First of all, I thought last week, I was like, I have to do something really cool for this bye week, maybe come up with like a bracketology piece or a playoff piece. And sure enough, I got a text message saying, well, Brady's been doing that for years now. So just way to ruin my idea. I guess, I'll give you the credit for that. So I kind of took something from your playbook last week and I'll run in this week's paper, but just kind of a bracketology piece ahead of last week's games, just to give people a playoff sense of what everybody's going on in the county.
Hey, you know what they say, great minds think alike, right?
I wouldn't say I have a great mind, maybe you, but not me. So I'll give you the credit for that.
I tried to give you credit, but if you don't want to take it, fair enough. But what do you say we start off the show with some Yellow Jacket talk, huh?
Let's do it.
All right. Our Springfield High School football segment is brought to you by Countryside Outdoor Power Equipment in Springfield. They are a one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Stop by and see their inventory or give them a call at 615-384-7660. Of course, Springfield on a bye last week. And with 2 weeks to go in the regular season, what is Springfield's playoff outlook?
Yeah, so with 2 weeks remaining, they're sitting right at 4-4, 500 on the year for Dustin Wilson's group. Obviously, the past 2 years, they've been phenomenal. 2 straight trips to the TWSLA quarterfinal round. And this year, it's been a up and down experience. I'll say they've been Jekyll and Hyde all season long. I'll just give them credit, though. They played one of the hardest schedules in the mid-state. Obviously, anytime you have to go on the road to face Clarksville, Henry County, Centennial, all teams that are absolutely phenomenal this year. Obviously, Brady, you know that Clarksville is undefeated on the year. Centennial's had a great year with Jamal Stewart under his first year. And then Henry County, we know that they can put up points offensively, and they just had a big road win over Beach a few weeks ago, and they're sitting atop the Region 7 5A standing. So Springfield's played a really hard schedule. And, with a group that's young and experienced, they lost 16 seniors from last year's roster. So to give them credit, this is probably one of Dustin Wilson's best coaching jobs today. He's a phenomenal head coach, a veteran staff. So give them credit where credit's due. They have some playmakers like Clarence Cobbins, who does it in all 3 phases for the Yellow Jackets. And then quarterback Parker Betts, who's a junior, only had 1 start coming into this year as he took over the starting quarterback duties from Devin Crenshaw. And he's continued to get better over the course of the season. Offensively, they're going to run the football and depend on Cobbins and his ability at the wide receiver position, lining him up in the backfield at tailback, and he's even taking some snaps at quarterback in the Wildcats. So they're doing different things offensively and defensively. You know, they were really struggling early on in the year. They couldn't get off the field. They couldn't get off the field in a game you saw against Clarksville. They couldn't get off the field at Henry County, and they couldn't get off the field at Centennial. But they've gotten better over the last few weeks. So with 2 weeks remaining, they're clinched. They are most likely going to be the 4 seed coming out of that region. Obviously, the top 3 teams are going to be Henry County, Beach, and Hendersonville claiming those first 3 spots. Most likely that Springfield's going to have that 4th and final playoff spot coming out of Region 7 5A. And then they'll go on the road for the first round of the playoffs. I mentioned in my bracketology piece, it's most likely going to be Southwind out of the Memphis area who they play. Southwind's had a great year so far. They're sitting at 8-0, and they have a sophomore quarterback who's really played well to date. So Springfield's going to have their hands full, but I know this year with everything that they lost, you know, I talked to Dustin Wilson in the summer, and he said our goal is just to make the playoffs. And then once you make the playoffs, as any coach would say, anything can happen once you get in the dance. So they challenge their group to try to prepare a young football team for the rigors and the challenges that high school football and the playoffs present. So they checked off the first thing on their bucket list. Obviously, they would love to advance deep into the playoffs and try to repeat the performances they've had the last couple of years. But, you know, for the gauntlet of a schedule that they had, pretty remarkable for Springfield and everything that they lost, that they have clinched a playoff spot this early and then having the opportunity to go on the road to face a quality football team. That's pretty remarkable for everything that they lost and the adversity that faced early on in the year.
Yeah, I would just like to say there might not be another region in the state that has 4 names like that with Henry County, Beach, Hendersonville, and Springfield all in the playoffs. I mean, that is just a ridiculous region. And I said it when it got made. I mean, heck, those are 4 storied programs. So pretty cool for Springfield to be able to get into the postseason there. But let's move on. The Greenbrier Bobcats were also on a bye this week. Our Greenbrier High School football segment is brought to you by Old Hickory Credit Union. Whether you need to open up a checking account or interested in taking out a loan or mortgage, Old Hickory Credit Union can help you every step of the way. Visit their branch in Greenbrier or give them a call at 615-847-4043. What do the Bobcats have in store for their final 2 games of the season?
Yeah, Brady, I mean, this group obviously entered the year with playoff aspirations after last year's first playoff appearance since 2017. The playoffs are probably not going to be in store for this group this year. They're sitting in 6th place in the Region 5 4A standing, sitting at 2-6 on there. Obviously, they compete in one of the, you know, you mentioned Springfield, how tough their region is. I'll give Greenbrier some slack as well. They compete in a very tough region as well that has Pearl Cone, who's undefeated, probably one of the best teams in the mid-state. We have them ranked as number 1 in our Main Street Preps top 25. And then you got Marshall County sitting at that 2nd spot in this region. 2 great teams at the top of the Region 5 4A standings. You know, Greenbrier had some injuries early on this year that really sidetracked them. Obviously, we mentioned that earlier in this program when we were running it weeks ago. The fact that the opening week of the year, they were losing offensive line and 2 or 3 guys that fell down to injury in their road game at Springfield and just continued throughout the regular season. Nolan Carson, who's their senior quarterback, a former all-region quarterback a year ago, has missed some time with concussion, got injured in the second half of their game at Station Camp. And, you know, the loss in that game really proved, I guess it hurt them in the sense of making that playoff run. Obviously, they were leading that game at halftime by double-digit margins. Lose it in the second half, allowing Station Camp to come back. And it's just really sidetracked their ability to make the playoffs. Now, these 2 last games on the year, one of them is against a team you're very familiar with, Brady, Montgomery Central. But at Creekwood this week and at Montgomery Central the last week of the year, these are 2 games that Greenbrier is going to be the favorite to win. They're the better team in these matchups. They're more physical, more athletic on the outside. So I see Greenbrier trying to finish the year strong and finish it with 2 straight wins. Last week, they were on bye, but the previous week they played against Pearl Cone, and they held the Firebirds to their lowest scoring output since week 2 of the year, holding them to 35 points. Pearl Cone has been world beaters on the offensive side of the football. They've been going up and down the field this year, just destroying the region competition. They had been averaging 55 points per game in region play, and Greenbrier held them to 35 and really played some of their best football of the year despite the end result. Obviously, Pearl Cone's a great team. I expect them to make a strong push to make it to Chattanooga and compete for a gold ball. But, you know, over the last 2 weeks prior to the bye, the loss to Pearl Cone, and then even the win, the road win on the road at White House Heritage, a 27-15 final right there. Greenbrier's been playing great football. They're getting healthier, and that's a big difference in high school football when you can depend on your offensive line, depend on your quarterback like Nolan Carson to get the ball in the hands of Trafaris Flood, who had a monster game at White House Heritage. So this last 2 weeks, even though they may be eliminated from playoff contention and not have the hopes and aspirations competing in the playoffs, they have a lot of pride to play for with a senior group like Carson and Flood, and those are 2 winnable games for the Bobcats in the year strong.
Let's move on to an upstart White House Heritage football program. Of course, Scott Murray's team also won a bye this week. Our White House Heritage High School football segment is brought to you by Springfield Carpet One in Springfield. Whether you are in need of new hardwood, luxury vinyl, tile, carpet, or laminate, Springfield Carpet One has everything you need for your next flooring project. Stop by their showroom or give them a call at 615-382-7190. Patriots have clinched a playoff berth after going 1-9 last season. What's up next for the Patriots?
Yeah, a lot of excitement in the White House area just with the Patriots. I mentioned this in a Twitter post last week. Just think about the run that their fall sports programs have had over the last few weeks. Obviously, their volleyball team won district over Liberty Creek in a great match. Were the runner-ups in their region, and then they made it all the way to the sub-state round. Now, they fell short in their quest of making it to a state tournament. Just remarkable year for that volleyball team as well, led by Brandon Niblock. Their soccer team, their girls soccer team, finished second in their district tournament, advancing to this week's region tournament. Then you got the football team. You know, Scott Murray in his first year at White House Heritage, you know, they were 1-9 last season and just, you know, a dismal start. And then they turned it around this year, and with 2 weeks remaining, they're in first place in Region 6-3A, and they'll have opportunity and a date with Fairview next Thursday night at Fairview for a winner-take-all region championship game. So a remarkable turnaround for this group, and it's all started with the quarterback position. Anytime you have stability there, you can have a shot. And it's come from a freshman. You know, Xavier Murray, the son of Scott, has been phenomenal this year. He's been the best quarterback statistically and, you know, through the visual eye test in Robertson County all year long. He's been phenomenal, and he's continued to get better and improve week by week. He's not the biggest guy, but he's just a tough son of a gun, and he finds ways to make plays and get the ball in the hands of Eric Lopez on the outside and hand the ball off to Adrian Bonilla at the running back position, who's had a great year, been the second best running back in the county. And that's saying something because, you know, Isaiah Groves is a stud. We'll get to him in a little bit. But Bonilla has been there stride for stride with Groves in contention for Player of the Week award. So White House Heritage has had a great year. Looking forward to their matchup this week at East Robertson. I know that'll be a good one, and that will be one to mention. But that day with Fairview, all our eyes are set on that in Robertson County. Can White House Heritage win a region championship? And Scott Murray's first year at Heritage, and that's something that he mentioned early on this summer. You know, I thought he was kind of crazy when I sat in his office, and he said, you know, our expectation and our goal at the end of the year is to compete for a region championship. And he said, I firmly believe that we have the talent and the ability to do that. They've shown that in their performances this year. So we got our sights set on that matchup with Fairview. And Fairview's a quality football team as well. When I look at it right now, Fairview's 5-3 on the year. They're 2-0 in region play. Now they play Sycamore this week before they host White House Heritage. Sycamore, obviously a region opponent. So we'll see that matchup. But, you know, on the common opponents that they face this year, Sycamore haven't got that result yet, obviously, but both Fairview and White House Heritage have played Stewart County and Cheatham County. And the score is almost nearly similar. Fairview beat Cheatham County by 7. Well, Heritage beat Cheatham County by 7. Fairview defeated Stewart County by 38. Heritage beat Stewart County by 35. So those teams are neck and neck. Obviously, it's going to be a tight ball game next week. That's really going to be close, and it's going to be a treat to watch to see who decides that region. So I'm not going to predict who wins that one. I'll wait till next week when we release the pick'em. But, you know, just a great year for White House Heritage overall. Anytime you can make a turnaround from 1-9 to 5-3, as they sit right now, and then have opportunity to win a championship and host a first round of a playoff game. Obviously, they're guaranteed to do that no matter what, whether they're the 1 or 2 seed. But they have the opportunity to be the 1 seed and host 2 straight playoff games. That's pretty remarkable after the turnaround in the year that they had last year.
David, let's move on to arguably the best team in Robertson County. Of course, that's Chase Brooks and the East Robertson Indians, who were on a bye this past week. Our East Robertson High School football segment is brought to you by Thomas Drugs in Cross Plains. Since the early 1900s, Thomas Drugs has served the Robertson community for all of their prescription needs. Stop by and see their friendly staff. Grab you a sundae at their ice cream parlor today. Excuse me, voice went hoarse a little bit there. East
All
Robertson
good.
has had a phenomenal season so far, and they could potentially have a Mr. Football finalist. Talk about his performance and the Indians' playoff outlook.
Yeah, I mean, this was a team last year I mentioned in my bracketology piece. They were the Cinderella of the Robertson County area and really the mid-state. You know, nobody saw their record season coming last year. Obviously, Chase Brooks was in his first year as the head coach on the sidelines in Cross Plains, and they rip off 11 wins, have a Mr. Football finalist in Zach Prince, and they make it to the TWSLA quarterfinal round. Now, they lost to Tyner, who's a really good football team, but it was a remarkable year. And considering all the studs that they brought back on both sides of the ball, we knew that East Robertson had the ability to be a special team this year, and they've really performed like that to this point. They're sitting 7-1 at the bye week, and so just phenomenal year. Now, they did slip up at home versus Smith County on My TV 30, Friday Night Rivals. What an atmosphere was out there at East Robertson that night. But they will finish most likely in second place in their region, so they'll most likely have to travel on that second round of the playoffs on the road. But you mentioned Isaiah Groves, and he's had a phenomenal year. Really vaulted himself. It's one of the favorites for Mr. Football. He's had 142 carries this year, 1,553 yards, 15 touchdowns. He's averaged 194 rushing yards per game. He's also been able to do it out of the backfield as a receiving option, 11 catches this year, 162 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's really been a security blanket for that offense. Obviously, like White House Heritage, East Robertson has a freshman quarterback leading the charge, and that'll be Kason Young. He's continued to develop and get better. He's had his freshman moments this year where he's made some mistakes, and there's some things that they need to correct through the passing game and with Young throwing the football. But Isaiah Groves has been phenomenal all year long, and I'm going to give credit to that offensive line led by John Randolph and Malachi Anderson. They do a phenomenal job of getting to the second level of the defense and making holes for that young man, and he's just been able to use his speed to get around the edge, but he also has the power to run through you. So he's really a dynamic back. And he's gotten some offers this year throughout the fall based off these performances. When I was there for the Smith County game a few weeks ago, Kentucky was there looking at him. Vanderbilt was there looking at him. And then obviously he got a Missouri offer earlier this year. So he's a dynamic running back. He's only a junior. He's only going to get better and get faster and more versatile and add nuances to his game. So just phenomenal year for Groves and really a great year for East Robertson overall. When I look at their last 2 games of the year, they face White House Heritage this week. That should be a treat. This Friday night. We'll hear about that one a little later on. And then they'll finish the year with Jackson County, which is a region game. So they will host in the first round of the playoffs. They're most likely going to be the 2 seed, as I mentioned. And there's some teams coming out of the opposite region that they'll potentially face. Obviously, I had said in the bracketology piece, I'm not ready to decide or give information on who they'll face. Obviously, that region that features Cascade, Fayetteville, some other teams, they're still all vying for that championship spot. It has not been decided yet. Obviously, those teams still have some matchups through these last couple weeks. But, you know, it's been a great start for East Robertson, and we're looking forward to seeing how they do. Obviously, they're looking for a chance to get to Chattanooga for the first time, and so that's something that they've got their eyes on, and we're looking forward to seeing them do.
We're going to take our first commercial break of the show. When we come back, we're going to be talking about a couple of Devils. Stay tuned.
At Old Hickory Credit Union, we're member-owned, not-for-profit, and eager to serve our Robertson County community. Since 1934, we have strived to provide our members with a safe, reliable place to take care of all their financial needs. From checking accounts to loans to mortgages, we're here to help. Credit unions have to constantly adapt to meet the needs of an ever-changing market. However, one constant will always remain, and that is the service we provide to our members. Stop by our Greenbrier branch today.
If you're in need of new flooring, look no further than Springfield Carpet One, Floor and Home. We have a showroom filled with a wide range of flooring options, including hardwood, luxury vinyl, carpet, laminate, and tile. Our expert team is here to provide advice and guidance to help you find the right flooring for your needs. With special financing available, you can buy now and pay over time. Stop by our showroom today or visit our website at carpet1springfield.com.
Thomas Drugs, serving our community since the early 1900s. We're a full-service drugstore and soda fountain located in a building on Main Street that is on the National Register of Historic Places. We have a staff of pharmacists with over 70 years of experience, and we are committed to offering the best care and service to our community. We're now offering healthcare testing and treatment with positive results, a one-stop shop. Stop by our pharmacy today or visit our website at thomasdrugs.net.
He shoots, and he
Scores!
Welcome back to the Robertson County Football Wrap-Up Show. I'm Main Street Clarksville sports editor Brady McTamney, joined as always by your guy, David Wilson. He is the sports reporter for the Robertson County Connection. David, let's continue this show and talk about Chase Robinson's Joe Burns Red Devils. They were on a bye this week. As always, our Joe Burns High School football segment is brought to you by Select Physical Therapy in Springfield. Select Physical Therapy provides inpatient and outpatient rehabilitation services in Robertson County. Give them a call today at 615-384-3836. Despite their 6-game losing streak heading into Week 10, the Red Devils will compete in the postseason. What is their postseason outlook?
Yeah, you mentioned that they will make the postseason. That's due to the size of the classification in 1A. Obviously, there's only 4 teams in their region, so they're guaranteed a playoff spot. They currently sit in 4th place in Region 4-1A. Obviously, Clay County, Red Bowling Springs ahead of them. Also Gordonsville. So those are the 3 teams ahead of them. The last 2 weeks, Joe Burns will be on the road this week as they go to face Houston County. That is a non-region matchup. And they'll finish the year against their bitter rival, Red Bowling Springs, on next Thursday night. So that's the last 2 games of the year for Joe Burns. And, that game against Red Bowling Springs is going to have playoff implications. If Joe Burns is able to muster out that win, they'll vault themselves into the 3rd spot in the region instead of the 4th slot. So that has big playoff implications on who you could potentially play in the first round. They'll slated to line up with the Chattanooga region that features Whitwell and South Pittsburgh. So Whitwell is most likely going to be the 1 seed coming out of that region. So if Joe Burns were to be the 4 seed and lose to Red Bowling Springs next week, then they'll go on the road to face Whitwell. And that's a team that they've already faced this year. So Whitwell won that game in pretty convincing fashion on the road. So those 2 teams are very familiar. They faced each other last year in the playoffs. So we know those teams know the identity and the secrets of each other. But, South Pittsburgh would be the opponent. They would be the 2 seed if Joe Burns is able to pick up the win over Red Bowling Springs. It really comes down to, for the Red Devils, the performance of junior quarterback Amari Cotton. I was there for their game 2 weeks ago against Harpeth where they lost 28-0, and Joe Burns was in the football game. Just turnovers and costly turnovers in the points of the game that they came at, that was the difference in that game. Obviously, the Harpeth, their first touchdown, their first scoring drive was aided by Joe Burns' penalty. Harpeth was settling for a field goal. Joe Burns has a penalty since they hurdle over the center, and that's automatic penalty. Gives Harpeth a first down. They're able to cash in for a touchdown. Trailing by 7, Joe Burns is going into the end zone before the half to tie it at 7. Malachi Rivera fumbles the ball into the end zone. Harpeth is able to recover, and then Amari Cotton throws 3 interceptions in the second half. That really leads to 21 straight points for Harpeth to have that 28-0 margin. So it's going to come down to Joe Burns and their ability to take care of the football. Obviously in Class 1A, you're going to have guys playing both sides of the ball. So when your guys on offense are turning the football over and playing long series and long snaps in the defensive end, it's going to take a hold, and you're not going to be able to push the football down the field on offense. So, they have to get healthy. They've had some injury issues. Obviously, wide receiver Reed Blumel has battled some back issues throughout the year. He was suited up for that game against Harpeth, but just not getting him the football. He's not been able to use his dynamic playmaking ability and his speed on the outside. And so, those are 2 veteran guys, Rivera and Blumel, that have to step up for the Red Devils, and just turn it around. Justin Robinson's in his first year there, and it's been up and down. They've shown some flashes and the ability to do some things. I was really encouraged by their performance against East Robertson several weeks ago. Despite the end result on the scoreboard, they showed some things. They were to run the football against a very vaunted East Robertson defense. And Amari Cotton was able to flash his mobility and his playmaking skills, the lefty quarterback. He has the ability to run the football and to throw it as well. So they've shown flashes. They've just not been able to consistently put it together. And so they need somebody to step up. And talking to Robinson after the game at Harpeth, he just said we need to have somebody whether it's offense or defense, to step up and make plays in those moments where you got to have it. So They have the opportunity to break their 6-game losing streak this week against Houston County. We'll dive into that matchup a little later on. But, this team, they're guaranteed to make the playoffs. They just got to find a way over these last 2 weeks to continue to improve and get better.
Lastly, we'll talk about the only team that was in action this week. The White House Blue Devils lost 28-14 against a good Upperman team. Our White House High School football segment is brought to you by Springfield Carpet One in Springfield. Whether you are in need of new hardwood, luxury vinyl, tile, carpet, or laminate, Springfield Carpet One has everything you need for your next flooring project. Stop by their showroom or give them a call at 615-382-7190. David, this game was tied at 14 at halftime. What went wrong in the second half for the Blue Devils?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that Upperman's really a great football team. Obviously, Brady, you do a great job in helping out with the Main Street Preps top 25. They currently are undefeated, Upperman, the Bees, and they sit number 21 in our top 25. So they're a great football team in Class 4A. But this game was tight, and White House carried all the momentum. It was senior night for that group, really emotional. And they came out and they marched right down the field to take the lead 7-0. Hopped out to a 14-7 lead. Upperman was able to tie it at 14 before the half. But in the second half, Upperman just was dominant on both sides of the football. White House's offense had the ball 4 times in the second half, and they didn't gain a first down to the fourth quarter. They turned it over on 2 of those drives, where there was a turnover on downs or a Tanner Hayes interception at the quarterback position. And then Upperman was just able to run the football with Ethan Polk and Bronston Chaffin. He's able to do it all, the quarterback. So Upperman really dominated the second half. White House hung in there in the first half, looked like they could compete and maybe pull off the upset at home. But Upperman flashed their grit. Obviously, defensively, they were able to make some plays and turn over White House. So it was a missed opportunity for Ryan Hamilton's group. Obviously, it was a non-region game, just a challenge for them. So White House is just interesting how their year has unfolded. Their back half of the schedule is really challenging. They've challenged themselves with games against Upperman Station Camp, Marshall County. Obviously, this week they have a daunting task of going on the road and facing Pearl Cone. White House, despite their 5-3 record, finds themselves on the bubble, as I mentioned in my bracketology piece, of making the playoffs. With their loss to Station Camp in overtime, which was a bitter ending. White House should have won that football game. They missed 2 extra points that pushed that game into the extra period. But they sit 4th place in the region 4A standings. Correct. They sit in 4th place in the region standings. So they're looking up at obviously Pearl Cone in 1st place, Marshall County in 2nd place, and now Station Camp with the tiebreaker has jumped over them. So in the last 2 weeks, White House has to go on the road for both of their games, face Pearl Cone and Creekwood. And that game against Creekwood next Friday night is probably going to be the winner-take-all for that 4th and final playoff spot in that region. So White House, despite their record, they started off the year 3-0, just a phenomenal start. And they sit at a great 5-3 record, but they're most likely going to have to play their way into the playoffs next Friday night against Creekwood. And Creekwood on the road is going to be a tough challenge for Ryan Hamilton's group. So obviously I think White House is the better football team. But, anytime you go on the road in those atmospheres where it's a win your way in, you got to give the advantage a little bit to the home team just with the atmosphere and the emotion that's going to set in. But, this game against Upperman, I thought White House competed their butts off. They just weren't able to make the plays when they truly mattered most, and give credit to that Upperman team. They're undefeated for a reason. They're one of the favorites in their region and, in that classification as well to advance in the playoffs just because of their talent. So give credit to Upperman, but White House competed their tails off, just unfortunately in the second half, not able to get things going offensively. And anytime you turn over the football, that's going to spell doom against a really talented football team.
We're going to take our second break of the show. When we come back, David is going to preview the Week 10 slate in Robertson County.
Whether you've set personal goals or are just making your health and well-being a priority, Select Physical Therapy is here for you. Select Physical Therapy is your trusted physical therapy partner for recovering from aches and pains, gaining strength, and preventing injury. There's no better time to make Select Physical Therapy's movement experts part of your healthcare team. To learn more about the benefits of physical therapy and get on the road to recovery and wellness, schedule an appointment today at selectphysicaltherapy.com. Experience the power of physical therapy today.
If you're in the market for new equipment, come to Countryside Outdoor Power Equipment in Springfield. We are your one-stop shop for all of your outdoor projects and needs. We have a large selection of Echo Power equipment and a full line of bad boy mowers and tractors. We also have a broad inventory of outdoor storage buildings and provide maintenance and small engine repair on most equipment. We also carry a large line of mower engines and parts. For great financing options, stop by Countryside Outdoor Power Equipment today. If you're in need of new flooring, look no further than Springfield Carpet One, Floor and Home. We have a showroom filled with a wide range of flooring options, including hardwood, luxury vinyl, carpet, laminate, and tile. Our expert team is here to provide advice and guidance to help you find the right flooring for your needs. With special financing available, you can buy now and pay over time. Stop by our showroom today or visit our website at carpet1springfield.com.
At Old Hickory Credit Union, we're member-owned, not-for-profit, and eager to serve our Robertson County community. Since 1934, we have strived to provide our members with a safe, reliable place to take care of all their financial needs. From checking accounts to loans to mortgages, we're here to help. Credit unions have to constantly adapt to meet the needs of an ever-changing market. However, one constant will always remain, and that is the service we provide to our members. Stop by our Greenbrier branch today. Thomas Drugs, serving our community since the early 1900s. We're a full-service drugstore and soda fountain located in a building on Main Street that is on the National Register of Historic Places. We have a staff of pharmacists with over 70 years of experience, and we are committed to offering the best care and service to our community. We're now offering healthcare testing and treatment with positive results, a one-stop shop. Stop by our pharmacy today or visit our website at thomasdrugs.net.
Welcome back to the Robertson County Football Wrap-Up Show. We've talked about all the teams. Now let's get into our previews for the week. David, let's hear it.
Yeah, let's start off with Springfield. They'll be back in action this week at the Nest. They'll welcome Gallatin to town. Obviously, this is a non-region matchup. Springfield sitting at 4-4 on the year, and I think Gallatin is 5-3. So if you want notes on Gallatin, Blaine Keller does a great job up there at Sumner County. He has all the direction for Gallatin, but this is going to be a great matchup. Obviously, a very physical one between these two teams. Gallatin likes to run the football. Their running back is questionable. He got hurt in their last game against Wilson Central, even though they beat Wilson Central pretty handily. So that'll be a note to watch. But obviously, Springfield, clinched their playoff spot after 2 weeks ago, their win at Hunter's Lane, but just looking to build some momentum towards the playoffs. Obviously, they'll be looking ahead to their final game against Beach as well. But that Springfield-Gallatin matchup should be a good one. Ken Herndon will have the photos for you guys. And I think Blaine Keller is going to make the trip for live coverage of that game. So that'll be something to look forward to on that one. White House, as I mentioned, they'll be on the road this week. They'll go to Nashville and face Pearl Cone, who is undefeated, sitting at number 1 in our Main Street Preps top 25. That will be a very physical matchup. Obviously, White House in their offensive system, they like to run the football and depend on the play-action pass. So look for a steady diet of Michael Albin this upcoming week against the Firebirds, and look for Tanner Hayes to try to find Kenny Holt off the play-action pass. But Pearl Cone's a great